Welcome to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen, covering the week that was in professional wrestling. SummerSlam has concluded, and yet the summer still rages on here on the Juice Box. Hello, everybody. Once again, I am Juice Springsteen, and welcome to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen. As always, before we dive into one hell of a week in the world of professional wrestling, follow me on Twitter at Juicy Steen. You can follow me on Instagram at Juicy Wrestling Closet, on YouTube at Juicy Steen. And of course, if you listen to this show on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating and review. It helps the show grow. Amazon Music and juicysteen.podbean.com if you want to listen to the Juice Box wherever you listen to podcasts. If you haven't had a chance to listen to the most recent Sip Series episode, which was with Adrian Hernandez, it finally did get uploaded to Spotify. There was a problem with the file type, as it were, but it is up on Spotify. It's on every other platform as well. The video of my Sip Series with Adrian Hernandez from Unlikely with Adrian Hernandez is on YouTube, so check that out. Really thrilled to have had the interaction with him, and I got to see him after that in Dallas for All In. I got to, actually meet him in person, so that was really cool. Outside of that, we have a new Main Event Maniacs episode next week, probably Wednesday, and it's going to be the main event from SummerSlam 89, where it was Zeus and the Macho Man Randy Savage taking on Brutus Beefcake and the Immortal Hulk Hogan. So that will be next week, as it were. There also will be a future appearance here by yours truly on the Shining Wizards podcast. I had my first appearance a couple of weeks ago, debuting the Juice Box as a segment on their program, which they run a podcast every single Monday night live on YouTube. Check out the Shining Wizards Wrestling Podcast. My next appearance will be on Labor Day, September 1st. We don't take any days off to talk professional wrestling here on the Juice Box. I'd like to give a shout out to Josh Eisenberg, who came in to do the predictions last week for SummerSlam, and what an episode it was. Quite the long episode, but we had 12 matches over 2 nights, and we dove through a lot, and it was pretty intriguing. I always have a great time discussing the PLE predictions with him, and this one was no different. So check that out if you want to hear what we didn't get right over the course of 2 days at SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium, which we will talk about here in a little bit. I also want to give a thanks to Pool Party Gaming, who once again put on a great pool pick'em pool, whichever you want to phrase it, for SummerSlam this past weekend. It's always a great time. Submitting your picks, free to play, free to win. Do you have what it takes? Josh Eisenberg is clearly above and beyond the leader in the clubhouse overall for the PLEs, but he has won, I believe, 2 out of the last 3 PLE-specific pools, which is pretty damn impressive. Donnie from Wrestling Nation also puts forth quite the effort, and he, I believe, finished 2nd or 3rd this past one. So put your picks in. There's always room to grow, and put some more folks in there. It's free to play, free to win, and always a great time to see who does actually come out on top for Pool Party Gaming. Couple of quick other notes. I do want to say that I kind of have been living under a rock, or maybe I wasn't really aware of being able to do spaces on Twitter/X, which are the feature that you can talk to anybody via audio in one of these rooms where a bunch of Twitter accounts can log in and drop by, say what's up. You can call on people to talk. They can kind of talk if you allow all of them to come in. But it's a great forum. I've done a ton of them with Andrew Baydala, among other people. They're always a great time, great interactive piece of audio there. I did not realize that you could do it via desktop. Now, I have been one to do it from my phone. I've done it from my phone with headphones. I've done it with earbuds, and a lot of it just doesn't work the right way, or it doesn't feed great. It doesn't sound great. And I've never really hosted one, but I did finally figure out, and, I'm just a big dumbass, that you can do it via desktop, and hopefully I'll be able to do it with the microphone headset combination that I do have here for the regular pod and all of the things that I do video-wise, whether it's Drew and Juice or Sip Series interviews or what have you. I can utilize those via X on desktop, Twitter for desktop, not on the app, but through a browser. I can host a space via desktop that way, which should be easier for me to host a show on my own that way. So look out, keep posted on my Twitter at Juicy Steen to see any updates on when that could come to fruition. I'm looking towards potentially in September, test running this whole thing and seeing what I can pull off with what kind of topic I'd like to discuss with whoever wants to hop in and talk about it. So absolutely we'll be kind of configuring that going forward. I think Spaces is a great tool to engage and talk to a lot of people on Twitter, and it's an easy way to get to people live at a moment's notice. So I am absolutely going to keep doing some due diligence and research on that front, and hopefully you can see or hear some Juice Springsteen juice box oriented Twitter Spaces. So keep an eye and ear open for those. Wow. So with that all being said, I would like to touch on some AEW, of course, and then we're going to talk about what happened on SummerSlam weekend, in addition to the biggest news right out of SummerSlam weekend involving WWE and ESPN locking in for 5 years with their streaming PLE content from 2026 March going forward. But first, I do want to touch on some AEW. Dynamite was good, I thought, last night for the most part. MJF and Mark Briscoe had a good match, good grudge match. MJF gets a sneaky win, albeit it wasn't on purpose sneaky. The referee did not see Briscoe get his foot on the rope. The Young Bucks keep getting the jobber treatment, now being referred to tongue-in-cheek to Generation Me, which I really enjoyed as well. Toni Storm's always a marvel when she's on screen. And the Hurt Syndicate really just not having what they want to do. They're not having the best interactions with MJF these days. It seems like that's all done. Darby Allin looking to go against Jon Moxley at Forbidden Door, but that is just not necessarily set in stone yet. No match of that regard has been set in stone yet. But I do want to mention the matches thus far for Forbidden Door coming up on the 24th of August later on this month, which, I'm pretty used to these Saturday shows, Sunday shows. But this is going to be Sunday night. And then the following Sunday, which bleeds into Labor Day, is Clash in Paris. But that will be WWE. And that should be during the day, which will be interesting. But Forbidden Door looks like this. We've got Hiroshi Tanahashi against an opponent to be named in the future. The Hurt Syndicate will take on the winners of the tag tournament for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. We've got Swerve Strickland, Kazuchika Okada for the AEW Unified Championship, rather. Athena cashing in her Casino Gauntlet, and it's going to be Timeless Toni Storm taking her on. Athena, that is, for the AEW Women's World Championship. And then we will get a 4-way match for the AEW TBS title. Mercedes Moné defends against Alex Windsor from AEW, someone from CMLL, and somebody from Stardom. So right now, in the finals of that tag tournament, I do want to say it's Brodito, which is Brody King and Bandito, taking on FTR in the finals. And the winners of that will take on the Hurt Syndicate at Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door taking place at the O2 Arena in London. Looking forward to that. I always enjoy these overseas shows. And again, you get London on August 24th. You get Paris on August 31st. It just doesn't get better than that if you're a pro wrestling fan. These days, there's just so much to see, so much to do. And I'm looking forward to seeing it all unfold in the next couple of weeks. Let's dive in, though, to some more. This is not necessarily great news, but I do want to mention it. Well, the first part of it was slightly great because I popped huge for this, but we heard the other night on Collision when Dustin Rhodes came out for a match, which he lost the TNT title to Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher is now the TNT champion, and Dustin Rhodes, unfortunately, has to get a double knee replacement, which is so unfortunate. It's pretty crazy. He's a legend, and I mean, he's not young. He is not young whatsoever. 56 years old. He unfortunately has to get both of his knees replaced. But if I can find a silver lining in regards to the match that did take place, it was that we got to hear, well, they call him natural as can be. He's a son of a son and a son of a gun. But we heard the Natural theme song from WCW for Dustin Rhodes. I popped huge. I was so thrilled that they played it. The last time I heard it, I believe, had to have been Starrcade 2017, which was the house show at Greensboro Coliseum Thanksgiving weekend that was an amazing show. I got to be there with my dad to watch that. And, I mean, just nostalgia at its finest for WCW. So to hear the Natural theme song was just so damn cool. Just a wonderful, wonderful piece of business there to have it. I mean, I know it wasn't a licensed song by WWE or anything, and it was I think it might have been a Jimmy Hart thing. Whatever it was, the licensing, it didn't matter. Like, they could use it, so they used it, and I'm glad that they got to, especially with the injury news that's unfortunate with Dustin Rhodes. We did get a poster for All Out Toronto, Saturday, September 20th, featuring Adam Copeland, Edge, whatever you want to call him, and I'm looking forward to seeing that on pay-per-view, 8 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday night. All Out's going to be fun. Toronto is a great wrestling city, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that go down. AEW Dynamite was in Cleveland as of this recording last night, and Tony Khan loves doing this. I'm pretty sure he said it to Pittsburgh one time that I can recall, maybe more if I'm not mistaken, but he said that he was, how about if you'd like to see a pay-per-view in Cleveland? And I say, well, I think Pittsburgh should get a pay-per-view for AEW way before Cleveland. I think they deserve it. They were one of the early Dynamite episodes. They were the first Rampage, and Pittsburgh's always been a pretty smooth spot for AEW to come in and do their programming. And I'd love to see a pay-per-view there, selfishly. But I also think it's a great crowd, and I think it'd be worth having a pay-per-view in that town that I do call home. So, in addition to that, let's talk about SummerSlam weekend. Now, I can't talk about SummerSlam weekend without talking about what I did on Saturday night. And no, it wasn't watch WCW Saturday night. It was watch SummerSlam. And I did get to watch it with the likes of Chris Lemke, Josh Eisenberg, among others. But someone I saw and watched the first few matches of SummerSlam with was none other than the Sandman. Hack, hardcore hack, the hacker, whatever you want to call him. The Sandman was at a local restaurant, bar, what have you, locally here in Pittsburgh, doing a autograph kind of signing for some of his action figures that were produced by Hastel Toy. Shout out to them as well. I got to meet Mitch from Hastel Toy. Great guy. Love to get some insight on the action figure business. It was really unique to have the time that I did there. It was really cool to kind of hear the ins and outs, and I was watching like an assembly line of Sandman sign these acrylics to that were going to hold some of the prototypes for future figures to be sold. I was really invested in that. That was a really cool thing to be a part of. But I got to meet the Sandman, took a photo with him, which was just, honestly, it was a great time. I always tell people that, with wrestlers in particular, I'd love to interview them at least once if possible. And that would be like the be all end all, and that's great. But if I can't get an interview, at least something I do want to do, even if I do get an interview down the line, is to get a photograph with them. And I'm not a big autograph guy, unless that's like the only thing available or what have you. But getting a photo with the Sandman was something that was really, really cool, because growing up with my dad, watching ECW late in the 90s, late nights on Saturdays or whatever the hell they'd air at 3 a.m., seeing the Sandman was just like a weird, like, who is this guy? He's walking to the ring with a cigarette and a beer, and he's smashing the beer over his head. He's bleeding before the match even starts. He's using a Singapore cane on people. He was the first guy to really utilize that weapon. And I really love that, because now it's everywhere. It's the kendo stick. Everybody uses it. But Sandman was such a unique character, 5-time ECW champion, which I do believe is a record. And, then he goes to WCW and becomes Hack, and had a little fun run there as hardcore Hack in WCW. I know people panned it, and he might not have liked it, but he was pretty jacked and had some good moments. For that photo, I made sure I wore my uncensored 1999 shirt, in which that was the first pay-per-view appearance of Sandman/Hack in WCW, where he successfully defeated Bam Bam Bigelow and Raven in a triple threat match, which was awesome. And it was just a cool moment to see him talk about that. We talked about Spring Stampede 99 the following month, where he did a flip off of one of the stagecoaches on the entranceway for Spring Stampede. And I believe that show took place in Tacoma, Washington. But he said that they had rented out that stagecoach from a museum, which I thought was fascinating stuff, to say the least. Just because, I don't know, it's really cool insight to they had to rent this, and how do you go about doing that? And how do you, we're just going to use it for a set. I'm also going to take a dive off of it. What do you think about that? So that was really cool to kind of get some insight on some WCW stuff from Hack, from Sandman, a legend in the pro wrestling business. And quite honestly, and this was my way of thinking before Hogan passed, but even with Hogan passing, you kind of realize, like, if you get any opportunity to meet these wrestlers and you really want to do it, try to make it happen. You just don't know. And that's why I was thrilled that I got a photo with Hogan back in 2016, I want to say. I got to meet Flair and Jim Ross, among other people throughout my life, and there's just some that I haven't, and I never will, like your Scott Halls or Sabu, Bray Wyatt even. Like there's people that aren't here anymore that really make you realize and have a different perspective on, get that photo with that wrestler, and I just don't know. You just don't know. So really cool to see Sandman, meet him, and watch some SummerSlam there. So shout out Hastel Toy, shout out the Sandman, shout out Ruggers Pub in the south side of Pittsburgh for that great little moment there. And I also got to see a friend of the show, Troy Beck, who is the owner and proprietor of Given to Fly, the chicken outfit in Federal Galley in Pittsburgh. Check those guys out if you can. If you like chicken, and I do, go to Federal Galley, which is like a restaurant, a cafeteria style restaurant like area, and there's a whole bunch of different restaurants, but there's a chicken forefront based outfit there called Given to Fly, and Troy runs it, and it's great chicken. I can attest to it, and finally got to meet him in person as well. I'd like to have him on the Juice Box one of these days, so shout out to him as well. But a great time overall on Saturday. And then, like I said, SummerSlam kicked in. Let's talk about it. Roman and Jay get the win on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Good match. I love the thief with the Shula Fala that Bronson Reed's been putting around his neck. I think it's a nice touch. And, of course, these guys weren't to be done after this. We'll talk about that with what happened on Monday night. But very interesting opener to that, for sure. I also enjoyed the next match. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss get the win the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. This is something that I really felt was needed. You had to have it. You had to have the group that I honestly think is one of the most positive pieces of WWE right now. That if they're hot, give them the titles. Like, let's go. Let's push them. Let's elevate these titles like we have the IC title and in the Women's US title. Put some veterans in there, veteran presence. Elevate the championships. And now Charlotte and Alexa Bliss are those champions. Really happy for them. Sami Zayn defeated Karrion Kross, and Kross had to admit that he was wrong about Sami Zayn. I don't know what's going on with Karrion Kross. His contract is supposedly up very soon. Not sure if it'll get renewed or restructured or he'll sign a new one, but I'd like to see him sign one. But if he doesn't, Tony Khan, you know what to do. You know what to do with a talent that, might be under the radar and no one will think you'd actually sign him, or he just got canned. What are you going to do? I say you pull a Lex Luger at the Mall of America and see what you can pull off with a Karrion Kross or Killer Kross, however you want to label him. Tiffany Stratton defeated Jade Cargill in 7 minutes and 5 seconds to retain the women's championship. Kind of shocking, I got to be honest. I was not expecting Jade to lose, especially so swiftly like that. This match was less time than the Sami Zayn Karrion Kross match, and I thought Tiffany and Jade was arguably one of the bigger matches set up for SummerSlam weekend. But I don't know if they're ready for Jade to go further with her, with her character and winning the championship and defending it. I don't know if they're there yet. Not sure if the Rumble and winning that would be next for Jade, but I do think she needs some more time to kind of hone her craft. We still have not had SmackDown yet at the time of this recording, but I'm hopeful that she can rebound and we can go forth with what's next for Jade Cargill. And I'm curious to see what's next for Tiffany Stratton as well, because as champion, you gotta have there's more challengers coming forth. We had Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul getting the win over Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. This was a fun match. Jelly Roll taking bumps, singing Randy Orton's song. Logan Paul making a viral moment, looking like Steve Austin with the Prime bottles, doing a frog splash through Jelly Roll, through the announce table. I can't believe that's a sentence I said in 2025 about a pro wrestling show, but we are here. Props to all involved. I said this talking to the guys watching on Saturday night, and I tweeted this, but had Travis Scott taken the bump Jelly Roll did at SummerSlam, Travis Scott would have been airlifted out of MetLife Stadium. So more power to Jelly Roll, man. I'm happy that another guy stepped up in a position that a guy like Travis Scott couldn't, quite frankly. And that all seems to be in the rearview mirror, for lack of a better term, which I also think is why we saw what we did with John Cena turning back into a babyface. I don't know if that was the intended effect by SummerSlam turning back, but that's what we had. And no Rock, no Travis Scott. It's kind of all in the rearview mirror here. So looking to see what's next for Drew and Logan and Randy, to be honest with you. And I think Jelly Roll should get another match down the line. I don't know what that looks like, but man, could you imagine a Jelly Roll and Bad Bunny tag team? That would be fun. And then the main event, CM Punk beats Gunther by pinfall, 30 minutes, 20 seconds for the World Heavyweight title. Whew, what a match. One hell of a contest, a doozy, a Donnybrook. Gunther gets color. He's bleeding like a stuck pig. Punk gets the victory, and it was a great moment. CM Punk being the first person to have won the AEW title and then go to WWE and win the WWE Championship. Jon Moxley had done it in reverse, where he was Dean Ambrose and won the WWE title, ended up going to AEW and winning that World Championship. But now this is the first person to go from AEW to WWE, win AEW's World title first, and now the WWE Championship after the fact, or the World Heavyweight Championship. Really, really cool stuff here. Unfortunately for CM Punk, his night was not over. Seth Rollins teases that he's going to cash in. He's at the ramp. He's got crutches and a huge leg brace on. And in an epic, epic moment of silence outside of the pop that the crowd gave for this moment, Rollins ceremoniously drops the crutches to his side, takes the leg brace off, goes to the ring, cashes in Money in the Bank, hits Punk with the briefcase, hits a stomp. Seth Rollins, the ruse of the century, wins the World Heavyweight Championship. I like this. I thought it was well done. Punk gets the title, but barely holds on to it long enough to even enjoy it. He holds it less than the amount of time Drew McIntyre held it at WrestleMania 40, which I love that little wrinkle as well. Not sure where Punk goes after this. We'll talk about that after we get done with SummerSlam with what happened on Raw. But man, this was done well. We had speculated that Seth's injury, not that it could have been a work, but we would not be surprised that if they held off and did all this Saturday night's main event, having him lose purely for the standpoint of, well, let's make a Money in the Bank cash in truthfully shocking. And they did just that, and I thought it was well done. Seth doing what he did at Mania 31, cashing in, winning the title again. Didn't make it a triple threat, but I think this was just as sweet, taking the title away from a heated rival such as CM Punk. But I thought night one was pretty solid up until, the first part was okay, but it concluded well. The final two matches, the Jelly Roll, Orton, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre match, and then the world title match / cash-in whole segment, I thought really ended the night well for night one of SummerSlam. Let's go into night two. This was arguably better on a few fronts. Naomi defeated Rhea Ripley and Io Sky to retain the women's championship. I thought that was a great match. The women doing another triple threat and just dominating. I mean, WrestleMania 41 had a great triple threat as well. But you see, they run a similar type match back SummerSlam with not necessarily the same competitors, and you get what you got there. And now Clash in Paris, the only match specifically set for this show thus far is Naomi defending, if she retains against Io Sky, versus Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship at Clash in Paris. Looking forward to seeing that. Whoever it is, Naomi or Io Sky and Vaquer, or Naomi and Vaquer, should be a hell of a match either way. Speaking of a hell of a match, the Wyatt Six defeated Andrade and Rey Fenix, DIY, Fraxium, Motor City Machine Guns, The Street Profits, and this was insane. Candice LeRae takes a huge bump. Spanish Fly through a bunch of tables. Ladders broken, tables broken, bodies broken. Unbelievable spots. The Wyatt Six retained the titles. TLC 32 did not disappoint. They also even got a TNA Bound for Glory promo in by showing the Hardys at ringside as well as the Dudleys at ringside. Those two teams going one-on-one at TNA's biggest show of the year, Bound for Glory, later on this year in October. Hell of a promo for TNA, TLC, and what a match to showcase TLC. And the Wyatt Six retained. So things are looking great for the WWE Tag Team division, as it were, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got next. Becky Lynch defeats Lyra Valkyria by pinfall to retain the WWE Women's IC title. Lyra Valkyria can no longer challenge for Becky's IC title as long as Becky holds it. 25 minutes, though. This was way too long. Somewhat clunky. A bizarre spot with the zip tie that kind of fell off on Lyra. Suspension of disbelief lost there. I thought this match should have been 10 minutes shorter, honestly. And Bayley came in, accidentally hit Lyra. I don't know. Again, just too much going on. I just felt that it was too much gaga, for lack of a better term. And but Becky wins. See what's what's next for all those ladies. Clash in Paris. It's too early to tell, but I hope Lyra can get back into the title picture at some point, at least the IC title picture. If Becky's holding it, though, Lyra's going to have to figure out something else to do. So we'll see what that means. Steel cage match for the U.S. title. This, I felt, was a little lacking as well. Solo Sikoa defeated Jacob Fatu by escaping the cage via door. I enjoyed some of this. This match pretty much was just a cut and dry match. Solo gets the win, a bunch of interference. Kind of set up just to have Jacob Fatu hit a big moonsault inside from the top of the cage to the ring apron, or the canvas there. Pretty much after the match, it was just for the spot, and that's okay. But I would have liked to have seen that in the match, or something, a little bit more differential spots, because we just saw in the previous match between Lyra and Becky the zip tie spot, and then we get a handcuff spot a match later. So I just felt that, but not even on the same show, not even on the same night. It was a match right after the previous spot. So night 2 was loaded with stipulations and gimmicks and everything, and that's fine, and it was more intriguing, especially towards the end, but come on. Do a handcuff spot and don't do the zip tie, or do the zip tie and don't do the handcuff. It's just too much. Didn't need to happen. Unnecessary. What was necessary, though, was AJ Styles, Dom Mysterio, a swift 11-minute match here, IC title. A lot of homages to Eddie Guerrero, where AJ comes out in the lowrider with his son, Avery, who had a little bit of a blonde hair, Dominic Mysterio 2005 look to him, which Dom pointed out. Styles had Eddie-inspired gear from, I think, that SummerSlam 05 match where Eddie lost custody of Dominic to Rey Mysterio, although Rey mentions after the fact, boy, I wish Eddie would have won that match. AJ also had a cool Eddie Guerrero-inspired shirt, Styles Clash. I loved everything about this match. It was exactly what it needed to be. It was a lot of fun seeing both those guys hit Eddie spots where they fake getting hit by the chair. AJ even twitches his leg, which I thought was an amazing nuance. So shout out to AJ Styles. Hopefully he gets a big match at Bound for Glory. I'm hopeful that that's what happens with this TNA run going forth. If it continues, we'll see what happens. But Dom gets the win, retains the IC title, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Dirty Dom. And finally, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, street fight for the undisputed WWE title. This was a doozy. This was a crazy match. This was intriguing. It was fascinating. It was so damn entertaining. Cena practically completes the babyface turn as he walks out when his Titantron goes from the black, white letters, plain, and it kicks into the with his actual, video on the video board, back to his old Titantron, the colors, everything. It was wonderfully shot. This match went all over the arena. The visual of Cena with Cody on his shoulders for an AA coming up out of the Cody elevator on the ramp was an amazing visual. You had it was just so much fun watching this match. It was honestly, and this might be a bold statement, but I'm saying that I thought this match, not only was it John Cena's best match in probably 10 years, give or take. One of those AJ Styles matches comes to mind, but I think this is a top 5 SummerSlam match of all time. The right ending happened. Cody Cody hit a bunch of, he hit a Cody cutter. He hit the announce table, got broken. Cody hit a few crossroads. Cena hit a few AAs. He hit a super AA off the top rope. He hit the STFU. Cody gets the win, though, after all a bunch of spamming finishers. It was the perfect type of match. And then, in an emotional moment where Cody doesn't turn, Cena stays babyface. They're both babyfaces here. The crowd was somewhat split, but they were in it for the ride. Cody gets the title from Cena. Cena raises Cody's hand. Look, WrestleMania 3, Andre pretty much passed the torch to Hogan. Hogan, in a sense, passed the torch to The Rock at WrestleMania 18 of you're the next big star. The Rock passed that torch to John Cena at WrestleMania 29 in MetLife Stadium. And then Cena passed the torch to Cody, SummerSlam 2025 at MetLife Stadium. So Mania 3, Mania 18, Mania 29, SummerSlam 2025. Emotional moment. Again, I think one of Cena's best matches, definitely the best match of Cena's renaissance in the last probably 5 years. And probably since one of those AJ Styles matches of 2016 or 2017. And I'd say this Cody and John Cena here, top 5 SummerSlam match of all time for me. Just me. But that was it. Or so we thought. And unbelievably, 2 years after we'd last seen this man, Brock Lesnar returns. The music hits. The crowd goes banana, to quote Pat Patterson. And comes out, takes out Cena, hits him with the F5. Didn't hear from Lesnar on Raw. Cena's going to be on SmackDown this week, tonight, if you're hearing this on Friday. And we'll see what is next. I presume they're going to have a match at Clash in Paris. I would presume Lesnar could retire and have his final match at SummerSlam next year because it's in Minneapolis. I could wager that. You could do it on Sunday night. I think that's very feasible and plausible. Cena has gone and had matches with, the next guy, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton as a callback, CM Punk as a callback, R-Truth as a callback, and we're probably not going to get Adam Copeland / Edge, but we are going to get Brock Lesnar as another one. I'd like to see The Rock and Cena go one more time, potentially in December, on that Saturday night's main event, if that is what they do or plan on doing. But Brock Lesnar is another piece to the John Cena, retirement tour that needed to be, the ticket needed to have that hole punched. And now we're probably going to see Cena Lesnar. I would wager at Clash in Paris. I don't foresee it happening at Crown Jewel in Perth. But Cena having a Paris match, a Crown Jewel match in Perth, Australia, Survivor Series at Petco in San Diego, and then whatever happens in December. It's looking to be quite the interesting last 4 months for John Cena. I will address a lot of controversy with Brock Lesnar coming back into the fold with WWE. This is just something that, a lot of people didn't think was going to happen. I got to be honest. A lot of people just wrote it off. Like, this is a guy that was a part of, he was named 44 times in the Janelle Grant, Vince McMahon lawsuit that is still ongoing. And, a lot of people are on the side of, well, he shouldn't be in WWE because of that. And there's people on the other side saying, well, he was named, but they don't think that he did anything wrong necessarily. A lot of morality in between here. It's all very muddy, and we don't know what's happening necessarily for sure or for certain. The rumor and what Triple H, Paul Heyman, Michael Cole have said is that Brock Lesnar was, quote, cleared-ish or asked to come back over the last couple of weeks, and that was it, and it's done. And he's back, and that's that. And this is what I thought. These are my thoughts only, and I put this on Twitter. It shouldn't shock anybody that WWE brought Brock Lesnar back, especially now that they're kind of leaning really into this UFC-esque thing of like Triple H could be Dana White, and they're with TKO under the TKO banner, and they're running with ESPN now, and Lesnar was like a next necessary piece there. If John Cena wanted Brock Lesnar for his retirement tour, John Cena was most likely going to get him. So I don't know if that was really the case or what happened, but it's looking like that's what happened. I'm really unsure why there are so many people defending the decision to bring him back, or, or Brock Lesnar as a person, as if they know Brock personally, when none of these people that are on Twitter doing these things know Brock Lesnar personally. So I don't know why they're going to bat for a guy like that. Like, you can have an opinion on whether he's guilty or innocent or should be back or shouldn't be back, but to defend him and be like, he did nothing wrong, how dare you slander his character? You don't know the guy. And it's just weird to talk like that. It really kind of puts you in a light of like, well, no matter what, this was the right decision. And I just don't know if that's the right way to go about it necessarily, especially when it's kind of fluid and you got to let it play out. Like, this whole thing is not over yet. And then ultimately, and I know this is, I really don't like saying this, and I know a lot of people will scoff at this because it's not that easy, and it can come off hypocritical, especially because I'm still going to watch WWE programming. Although it is what it is. But if you don't like the decision, you don't like Brock Lesnar, don't give WWE your time. Don't give them your money. Prove it. I mean, Vince McMahon was still back in WWE until Slim Jim was notified, like, this ain't cool. We're backing out if he's still here. And WWE said, oh, no. We don't want to lose a sponsorship. Vince is out. And now Slim Jim is branded on tables in matches. So, sponsors matter. If you're a fan and you want to voice your displeasure, go do that. I think that's a very fair way and logical thing to do. Will it work? I'm not sure. But that's the least you could do. If you don't want to watch the program, don't watch it. If you don't want to watch the Brock segments, don't watch it. Skip it. Whatever you need to do. It's a you decision. I can't influence it. I can only do what and influence and control what I can do. I can't control what WWE does. And I might not necessarily agree with Lesnar coming back. One, on the fact that I'm not sure that he's completely clear or absolved of anything. I was pretty certain that WWE was going to wait until this whole case was closed before they had any thought of bringing Brock Lesnar back. But as I stated earlier, I think they want to kind of lean into Minneapolis next year, potentially have a Lesnar retirement match or something to that effect. Either way, he needs to be in the fold by next year's SummerSlam for that to happen. One way or the other, whether it's a huge match or retirement or something big with Lesnar at Minneapolis, it makes sense. Especially with it being 2 nights. Like, you got to sell out most of it. And WWE did well, 113,000 over the 2 nights in MetLife. But I digress. So I'm thinking, like, I don't know, maybe they should wait until that happens and the case is kind of closed or behind them or settled in some way before they brought back Lesnar, but they didn't. And I also, look, outside of the Cena thing, seeing Lesnar maybe for a match against Braun Breaker, a Gunther, Obafemi, Bronson Reed, those matches intrigue me. But outside of that, and the obvious of him just going against Cena, I have no real care to see Brock Lesnar at this juncture. We've seen so much of him over the last few years since his second rerun, and the matches with Roman and all that. It was entertaining. It was good stuff, but kind of seemed like it just tired on, and I'm kind of over it. So I'm open to some matches, but as long as they can close that chapter at some point, they will. But very intriguing close to SummerSlam, very polarizing, to say the least. A lot of people, and they still are and still will be arguing over it, especially all the way until Lesnar's next appearance, and I cannot imagine what that is going to look like, sound like, if Brock cuts a promo, what the fans are going to say, what Twitter's going to say. It's going to be crazy. So yeah, that was SummerSlam. I was pretty intrigued by most of night one, and a lot of night 2, but the main event on night 1 and night 2 were easily the best. Night 2, Cody and Cena should have been WrestleMania. That match should have happened at WrestleMania. And outside of the Rock Travis Scott thing, take everything out of it. If Cody and Cena had their match at SummerSlam, if that match happens like it does, I don't see how that couldn't have been a perfect farewell match for Cena. Passing the torch like that in an epic encounter, putting the title on the guy that's going to go forth with the next crop of guys, that would have been perfect to me. But it's not how it happened, and we move forth to Clash in Paris. But what we also move forward to is 2 things. One, I want to mention, it was acknowledged Saturday night by a lot of the folks that were there at MetLife, potentially trying to get into the media scrum or what have you. There won't be any more WWE press conferences, post-shows, media scrums, whatever you want to call them, at least for the foreseeable future. And that was on night 1, and people are like, that's kind of weird. Like, maybe they just want to push their own narratives, or they don't want any more bizarre questions or out-of-pocket questions, or they don't want to answer any crazy questions. And then night 2 happens, and Brock Lesnar returns, and it's almost like, well, that seems like a very obvious reason why they didn't want to have press conferences or post-shows, because people would have just asked about Brock Lesnar, and it probably would not have gone very well. So all optics need to be positive for WWE, and that's how they stand, and that's how they're going to be. And to follow up on that, the bigger news to come out of that, if there could have been bigger news, $1.6 billion for WWE putting forth their PLE streaming rights to ESPN starting March 2026. I think it'll start with WrestleMania. That'll be like the first show that they do. So Peacock has the rights up until then. This is insane. It's still unconfirmed, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. That if you have a YouTube TV or a cable service that has ESPN already, like you pay for that package, you will likely get some, if not all, of the PLEs for WWE included, no extra charge. That's unconfirmed. Different reports, Dave Meltzer says it's probably not the case, but I've seen a lot of reports that say it is the case. It's conflicting. We'll wait until maybe the deal comes, or there's another presser on that to where we can have an idea of what actually is going to happen. But I'm intrigued by it. ESPN, the day before, had announced they're acquiring the NFL Network, Red Zone, a lot of equity there. So they're having their own streaming app. ESPN's streaming app is going to be like a brand new thing. It's different than ESPN Plus. $29.99 a month, $300 for the year, $299.99. And you'll get Red Zone, you'll get the NFL Network stuff, you'll get NFL games. You might get a college football Red Zone. That's been a rumor. And then you'll get WWE PLEs. And now I'm not sure if it's going to be like UFC, where you have to spend an extra amount for those PLEs, in addition to the $30 you spend a month or the $300 you'd spend for the year. But you'd have access to it at least to start. I don't. Again, the details are kind of murky, and I'm not going to try to divulge or figure out what's going on because I don't know, and a lot of people are still confused. So until we get full confirmation, I'm not going to speculate. I hope it's linear with, if you have ESPN for a cable package, you can just watch it without paying any additional money, because I have YouTube TV, and that would really be beneficial, because going from, you got to have Netflix for Raw, and you got to have, cable to watch SmackDown, and, the PLEs are on Peacock, and the classic content library is all over the place. Who knows where it's going to go? One, keep your physical media. I've been a proponent of that for 20 years now, and I'm going to still stand and stick to it. But go to WWE's YouTube page, WWE Vault, WCW's YouTube page. A lot of great content there. So do what you can for your classic content. Save it if you can. Go out and buy it on the secondhand market like eBay. Get what you can before it's on another streaming platform that you don't want to spend money on. There's just a lot going on there, and it's just too confusing, too much money involved. Try to cut costs when you can. It's 2025. Things get more expensive by the day. So do what you can to get that wrestling content and own it if possible. Whew. What a juice box, I must say. We covered a little bit of AEW, like a minute portion of AEW, but not a lot happened. We got Forbidden Door in a couple of weeks. That will be a focus as the weeks go forth. Clash in Paris the week after that. SummerSlam we had to recap. It was a huge 2-night event. The WWE and ESPN thing was another huge monumental deal. Brock Lesnar returns. No more WWE media scrums. But as for me, Shining Wizards podcast, September 1st. Check that out. I'll keep promoting that as we get closer. SummerSlam 89, the main event Maniacs. Jay and Brian will come with that program next Wednesday, I do believe. Shout out to Pool Party Gaming for their SummerSlam Pick'em Pool. Shout out to Josh Eisenberg for the PLE prediction show, as always. Shout out to Hastel Toy, Ruggers Pub, and the Sandman for one hell of a Saturday night this past week. And hopefully Dustin Rhodes can heal up, get better. All love goes to The Natural to heal up on that double knee replacement. That's nothing to sneeze at. So get well soon, Dustin. We're pulling for you. And anytime you want to hang out, talk pro wrestling with yours truly, and potentially some spaces in the future, check it out in September, potentially, at Juicy Steen on Twitter, at Juicy Wrestling Closet on Instagram, at Juicy Steen on YouTube. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts. If you have the time, swing by iTunes, leave a rating and review. Spotify, Amazon Music, juicysteen.podbean.com. And I did actually omit something. I mentioned something with Roman, Seth, Braun, Bronson, Punk, all that. Just by the end of Raw, we saw tsunamis on Punk, and or a stomp on Punk, tsunami on Roman. Looks like Braun, Bronson, and Seth Rollins versus Roman, Punk, and LA Knight, who unsuccessfully challenged for the WWE or the World Heavyweight Championship. So it looks like a 6-man tag, potentially a Clash in Paris. I forgot to mention that. I wanted to mention that, but I got it in. At Juicy Steen on Twitter. All the other socials are there. Check me out on Twitter. I'm always talking. I'm always available. DM me if you got any questions about the pod or anything else. WCW related, I'm here for it. And again, check it out potentially for spaces next month. Kind of do some research on that. Hopefully can bring some cool content for you that way. And if you are aware of it and you're there, hop in. Let's talk pro wrestling. But enough of rambling from me here. I'm Juice Springsteen. I hope you guys had a great week, enjoyed pro wrestling, because, at the end of the day, just try to enjoy it. There's so much damn stuff going on. Enjoy the positive of the pro wrestling when there are. If you don't want to watch one company, we got plenty of other companies to choose from, so keep it positive. I'm Juice Springsteen, and I'll see you guys next week for another edition of The Juice Box. That was The Juice Box with Juice Springsteen. Make sure to subscribe to The Juice Box wherever you listen to podcasts.